This is Barbara Elistad, Mesquite Citizen Journal, and I'm here today with Wes Boger, who's running for Mesquite City Council Seat 5 in the 2020 election. Congratulations on making it through the primary.
Thank you.
We have about 54 days until the election is over and another 550 days before we know the results. So
something like that.
Yeah, it is 2020. So we're gonna kind of go through some issues. This is going to be more of a discussion type than just I ask a question, you give an answer. So it's going to be more of a conversation, if you will. If I interrupt you, it's only to provide background on different issues, perhaps for the readers.
Sure.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate, so don't anyone think they know my position on a lot of the issues, because they probably don't. Anyway, so that's my kind of legal stuff. All right. So, you know, there's quite a few issues that are percolating to the top. Seems to be in this election for council and I will add mayor. So we're going to go through some of those topics, but more to gain insight into not necessarily an answer, but the process you use to get to the answer. Because some of these issues are just, you know, for this point in time. And if you're elected, you know, 4 years from now, 3 years, 2 years, there's going to be different issues.
Sure. Hopefully, because that would mean that these issues have been solved.
Yeah. So kind of start with a very topical issue right now, and that is the city has received $1.7 million in COVID CARES Act relief money from the county. And depending on what happens in the next few months, they may receive another $500,000 for $2.2 million. So I'm curious about how, you know, and if you're elected, you're going to be making some of these decisions because they're going to be going on for the next year or so. So I'm curious about how you as a council person would kind of look at that pot of money and some ideas that you would want to see where that money is spent.
Sure. Well, you know, they had to cut, wasn't it $6 million from the budget to begin with? Well, there's a start. You know, there's all the programs that they had to cut with that. I know that the public safety was a huge one for me and is a huge one for me. I know that there's positions that they need to fill at PD that they can't because they didn't have the funds to do it. I know there was hiring freezes, there's pay step increase freezes that were negotiated to have started in July. Those are huge. Those are huge. So the last thing that I think that the government's number one responsibility is public safety, whether on the federal level when it comes to national defense or on a municipal level when it comes to public safety, ambulance and fire and police. So that's where I would start, was with putting it back into public safety and then see where we are. But the people that without seeing the numbers with me, I can't go dollar by dollar where to put it.
That's fine.
Anything like that.
I'm just kind of looking for a general idea of where you think that money is the most, where's the most important place to put some of that money. So, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I don't know what strings are attached to that.
I understand, if I understand what you said already, is that, you know, for the most part, you would vote to take that money and just put it back in the general fund for city expenses, city staff, those kinds of things.
Any of the projects and staffing, especially if it comes to public safety, you should try to refund, to fund what was taken away to begin with, because that was money that was already supposed to be used for those areas. But as far as the CARES Act, if like any other government grant, like I noticed this a lot with my experience on the SOT, the school organizational team. It seems like almost every dollar is already earmarked for something. You can't spend it on certain things. Like I don't think they can go out and spend it on new gurneys. Maybe they can. I don't think they can go out and spend it on a new park, for example. So
Well,
I'd have
Henderson
to-
already tried that. It's off the table.
Oh yeah, well, so that's the thing. So I'd really like to know I haven't looked at the language of the CARES Act and how the money has come to the city to know what they can spend it on. And so that would be something really important before really even answering that question. But if it could be used to replenish the funds that have been taken away in the last budget session, that's where I would go first. And it still wouldn't be enough.
What about offering some kind of relief to local businesses who were shut down? Some still are. Nonprofits who have suffered maybe a little bit more percentage-wise than the city did with this whole shutdown.
Is that actually something that can be done with the CARES Act money? Because I don't know.
There is a possibility, yes.
Okay, again, I'd have to see that, but the private business had their own version of the CARES Act already with the PPP loans, and there was other SBA loans through the CARES Act already. I don't know that this is meant for that. That's why I asked the question.
Yes, it can be used for that. So, I agree if a private business has received money under some other program that, maybe, no, they don't need this. But there's still a lot of businesses in town who have not received any kind of aid or any kind of monetary program through any kind of CARES program so far, COVID-related program.
Okay, yeah, I don't know of that, of the ones that haven't. I know a lot that didn't need it that did get it. I know a lot that needed it that got it. So of the ones that I don't know, I'm certainly happy to look into it and research it to know. And also, again, to research that they can actually be giving public funds that were coming from the county to, for the CARES Act that can actually go to that. So
well, there was also some talk as soon as that money was awarded to Mesquite that people on the city staff wanted it to reimburse not reimburse because you can't reimburse, to make up for the lost 5% pay raise that they did not get July 1.
And I don't know that there'd be enough to do that because you have $6 million worth of cuts, and so you have to prioritize where that money goes. It's only $2 million, so you have to really prioritize that. Putting off a 5% raise, I mean, it's sad that they had to do that, and it was something that they negotiated in their contracts that they were getting. Whether or not there's enough money to implement that again, I don't know. It just depends.
Is that something you would be in
prioritize
favor
that.
of?
Yeah, if there was money, sure. Yeah, if there's money to do that kind of stuff.
Rather
for
than
sure.
use it for other purposes?
Other purposes is a really vague term.
It is.
So again, you'd have to show me. When I go buy a car, it's the same thing as going to buy a printer. I research the crap out of it before I put my money into anything. Not only reviews, but longevity of the item, how long it's been on the market, the cost, and how much it costs to use it, how much it costs to insure it, or whatever. So I'm not good at hypotheticals. I'd have to actually see, like, in very linear terms, what we're talking about. I don't just.
Well, I'm
have
just
give
trying to
answers.
get.
I understand that. I understand that completely. And
So
I
let's
think
let's say hypothetically, and I am going to ask hypothetical questions because right now that's all we have.
Sure.
And that's all you
Well,
have.
yeah, I'll be a failure for your answers because I don't do hypotheticals.
So let's say that hypothetically, the money could be used for anything.
Okay.
So let's kind of rank order your first desires, and that, you said, first of all, that it would be to make up for some lost positions in the safety department that
Absolutely.
were cut. So that would be your number one priority.
Absolutely.
What's your number two priority for that money?
These are my opinions, so you'd
all
really
I'm
have to
asking
go
for.
through the city manager and see where this person is paid to do this.
No, I'm saying if there was, I'm the city manager and I'm laying a piece of paper in front of you.
What's the paper say?
That has, it says, here's the options.
Okay,
Replace positions in public safety.
Okay.
Another option is to use the money primarily to reimburse businesses who were not reimbursed through other programs. That's on the list of possibilities. Replace the 5% pay raise that city employees did not get July 1. And to help the schools. So there's your four priorities.
I think it'd be the exact order in which you just presented them.
That's not fair. I'm not running.
I know, but I'm saying that of the four options in those, because don't get me wrong, the schools are a huge priority for me. And, you know, that's always been a huge priority for me as well. But I know that by the same token, it's not the city's, I hate to say it's not their responsibility, but it's not their legal responsibility to do it. When we help the schools, it's because we can. If we're in a position where we can help the schools, that's why it's ranked 4 on that list of 4, because that is, you know, the city funds aren't meant to do that. So that's kind of one of those things that you do when there is extra money for it. And because the money coming in from the marijuana taxes, for example, none of that is legislated that it has to go to our schools, which is unfortunate. But until it's legislated that way, that's the way it is. Anything they get is just extra. I wish it wasn't, but that is what it is. For Deep Roots, for example, recognized that, and they donated $10,000 to help the schools.
We're going to get to that issue in a minute. Go ahead.
But yeah, in this discussion of those 4 items, the way it just happens to be in the way that you present it would be in the way that I would rank them. I mean, I'm sorry that if that's not the.
You don't have to
but it's
answer
true.
to me.
It's 100% true. That's about in the right order.
Okay, so replacing public positions first.
Replacing the public positions that were lost.
Okay.
If there were businesses that didn't get any sort of relief and you're losing jobs and closing the business because of it, I'd certainly be open to looking at grants for that.
Okay.
And thirdly, if the payroll raises, sure, that was something that they had negotiated and that they were basically promised. There was a contract signed saying that this is what they got. And then they actually, every time we have a recession, they're the first ones that get cut, whether they're furloughed or their pay raises are delayed or not given at all, renegotiated. And then number 4, it would have to be the schools, and it's only because the city's not responsible to fund the schools. And anything that we can get to the schools is great. Through private donations is even better. But we're not mandated to do that by the state, not in this.
Well, I'll just we'll end this subject with just my opinion. When it comes to recessions and the situation we've had with COVID, the city employees are the last to be affected. So,
If you talk to them.
I've talked to private business
See,
who's more affected, but that's just.
That's an opinion, yeah.
Yeah, okay.